Hi everyone. Okay, tonight's little demo is going to be how to make wooden rings, but with a metal core. A bit like this, and that's a one which is a few laminates stuck together, mahogany laminates. I'll find one for you. These things, a few of those stuck together, but I've stuck them with the grain at right angles to each other, so it gives a nice effect, exactly like how plywood's made, I suppose. But look at the Chateaubrians, lovely. Every quarter turn and different ones shine up. That's that one, that's a smaller one. This one is African Blackwood, beautifully smooth all round, again with the metal core. I'll take them off while I'm turning. Now I'm going to show you how to make them, but first of all I'm sure you've heard about a Turn for the Good, which is an auction event we're going to hold in July. Basically, if you're a turner, you submit a piece of work. You can do more than one if you like, but certainly submit a piece of work which will auction online. All of the money that comes for that will cover the postage of the item to the winning bidder. What's left goes to a charity of your choice. I'll advertise all of the pieces of work on my site, and we'll sort out, the winning bidder's address, and we'll get it all organised up. But essentially, a handful of charities chosen by you lot, chosen by the turners, will raise hopefully a boatload of cash for these charities, which will be absolutely great. I'm already overwhelmed by the people who've signed up, so thank you very much. Specific thank you to Chris Ham in the States. He's going to help me out. He's going to be your go-to contact in the US. But all of us working together, whoever's involved, we're just one big team, and we're going to do something great, hopefully. So thank you very much for that. All right, to this project, what will you need? There's a few different ways you can do this, and obviously YouTube it. I watched loads of videos on it, and I came up with a method which I've done a handful of times now, which I like. It might not be for everyone though, so if I do anything that you think looks dangerous or you're worried about it, you don't do it, okay? What am I going to use? I'm going to use a chuck. This is just a very little one, and I need a set of jaws which go quite small. I could use my Barracuda quick release, but I've been using this one so far and it's worked great, so I'm just going to stick with that. We're going to use a small faceplate in a minute. We're going to use a Forstner bit, which is going to be put into this drill chuck. What else? We're going to use one of these. Now this thing, which didn't cost much at all, £5 or £6 I think, nothing really. This is something to make rings bigger, and that comes with it. That theoretically that goes on the bottom there. This rests on top. You put a particular ring on there. Let me find one, and you get it fitted on there, and you put that in and you hammer that and it'll stretch the ring out. You can get other machines that stretch them, but they're much more expensive bits of equipment. This one works great. I've used it to stretch a couple out, but I thought, hang on, I could also use this to hold these rings with the wood on, so I can turn the wood down and shape it, and it works absolutely great. But that's one of the safety things you might not be confident enough to do, because that's going to be on my lathe spinning, and obviously it's metal. You might be worried about that, but see what happens, and I'll show you how I use it. I don't need to use that bit. I did initially, and I drilled out the bottom so that it was a bit like that'll go into the live centre. But as much as I got that close, I don't think I got it absolutely spot on. So there's a slight wobble in it, and I didn't like that, so I don't use that anymore. I just put the live centre straight into there. What else? Right, these metal cores. You can get... I've seen online where you can buy them, and I don't have any. But they basically are like a lovely polished stainless steel, and they come apart in the middle. I think they might unscrew or push it, I don't know. But they come apart, and they've got a little lip on there, and you do your turning. You get the hole in the piece of wood, and the metal bits will press from each side inside, and they'll join up in the middle. They look lovely. I've seen people use them. They're great. Again, I find them expensive. They're not so easily available in the UK, but even in the US, I think they're quite pricey. So me being tight as I am, I went online and I had a look on eBay, and I looked for stainless steel rings, kind of wholesale, and I came across a company selling these in packs of 12, and you see they've all got the sizes on, and I think these are Hong Kong sizes. You can get charts for conversion and things like that, but essentially you get 12 assorted sizes ranging from size 17 to 21 on this particular measurement. So obviously you try them on and decide which ones are for you. The two I showed you earlier, I think I've used a size 20 and I've used a size 18 or 19 on that finger. I think, yeah, it was a 19. All right. So you get 12 of these. Now, they look golden, don't they? Well, they're not. That's just a surface finish. When you turn it down, you'll see it's going to go silver. 12 of them was £1.70, which I'm sure if you convert, it's about $2.50 or something. You can't get much cheaper than that, to be honest. So we're going to make a ring with a metal core, and that is my preferred option. I've made them just out of wood, and at some point they've got to be brittle. I mean, you can lace them with CA glue, but if you think about it, whichever way you put the grain of the wood, there's going to be a weak spot. If you have the grain of the wood going that way, then at some point on opposite sides, you're just going to have end grain, aren't you? It's going to come across here, so that'll be a bit strong. But over here, it's just end grain. So it's like the bristles of a brush sticking out. And surely that's just going to snap, and it does. If you put the grain of the wood that way, then it's going to be brittle anywhere on the ring in that sort of motion. So if you turn them just out of wood, you're going to have to be careful. You could, like I say, lace them with thin super glue and let it sink in and it'll harden. But I don't think you can beat the metal core. It feels nicer, to be honest. So let's see what happens. I'm going to turn one, which might fit on one of my kids. This is the smallest one I've got, size 17. She was looking at mine, and she was obviously asking, can I make one for her? So I'm going to give it a shot. That's the smallest I've got, and it just about fits onto the ring stretcher, and it actually fits it on the end sizing. You see how it's got steps on there, where you go up to the one which is, just before the one that it can't get on. That's what you hold it on. So we're going to do this one on that end. But the first thing we've got to do is to drill out the hole in the blank. So I'm just going to put all this to one side for a minute, and let's have a look at the blank. Well, what I've got here is just a bit of wood. I couldn't even tell you what. Yeah, embarrassing. But I'm going to get the hole in there, and then we're going to put the metal core in, and I'm going to turn this down a bit. Now that's a tiny bit of wood. Now you could use a glue block, but what I'm going to do is use a faceplate. And I'm going to use the faceplate as a glue block. I'm going to glue that straight onto there using a hot glue gun. So I just need to take this chuck off and we'll see how this goes. Now I'm going to move you in a bit closer so you get a better view. Bear with us. Put that on there. Now that's going to be freezing cold, so when I use the hot glue gun I'm going to have to be quick to get this piece on there. So I'm going to try and centre it up-ish. Use the 4 holes as a guide, so that's going to go on there. Obviously there's a hole there so the glue won't do anything. So I need to make sure I've got glue all around the edge of this. And I'm going to use quite a bit. This has already been warming up. So glue on there. Loads of it. It's kind of centered and push. It's good enough for me. Unplug the glue gun. Hang it in the chainsaw. That's where it lives. Right. So there's the block. Certainly strong enough for what we're going to do. So I'm going to put this into the chuck and we'll turn a hole into that. Now this isn't quite big enough. That little ring, where is it? I've lost it already. Aha, there it is. You see, let's get rid of that. We're not 17, don't we? That is too small. I need to go to the outside of that, but we're going to turn this down. Oh, what else am I going to do? I'll just explain the tool I'm going to use to do this whole job. Let's just get that in there. One thing at a time, Laughton, huh? Right, so that's going in there. Let's get that undone. Put him in there. Right, the tool I'm going to use is this beast. Now this, turn it so you can see it. I don't know if you can see the writing on there. And yeah, I'll see if I can focus that in for you. I'm not sure if it is. Yeah, there you go. That is a bit of high-speed steel. That's the dimensions of it. But it's got, this one's, it's got something like 5% or 10% cobalt in it. Now I sound like I know what I'm talking about, don't I? No, I haven't got a clue. No, the cobalt allows you to get a much nicer edge on it. It's much harder. Somebody, you know, feel free to message, but it allows you to get a really nice edge. So this is a bit like a parting tool, and trust me, that is pretty sharp. But I use this for loads of stuff, doing mortises and so on. Now I'm holding it quite nicely in what is a hex bit extension. It's quite long, and ages ago I turned a handle for it. So that's all this is, right? But it's proven to be really good for turning these rings. Alright, let's give this a shot. I'm going to spin this up. Typically I've left the lathe on high and it's just been turned on. It's freezing cold, so when I turn this on it's going to say nah. See? So I'll slow this down. There we go. Right, should walk up. Alright, let's get this hole in. So I'm going to make this just a bit bigger so that this will fit in. Let's have a little look. Just a little bit more. All right. Right, I reckon that is it. We'll sure find out, because we won't be able to put the ring in. Right. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but my lathe, when you take the live center out, this bit is perfectly flat. Obviously it's got the Morse taper inside there. Okay, now what I do is I use that as a kind of press to press the ring in into there, and it works pretty good. So I'm going to get the medium C8. Now always use too much. And then pop that in there. And bring this up. Lock it down. Screw, 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 screw. And that pushes in that ring core for me. And what have we got here? So I'm just going to rub a bit to say yeah, with my finger around there. A bit of towel. And just take a little bit of this off. That's good for me. Now, that core is just slightly protruding past the end of this. That is okay. We'll sort that out. Right. What we're going to do now is use the same tool, and we're going to turn this to round, and then we're going to get it off the wood. Alright. Now while I'm here, I'm going to turn it, and I'm just going to get a nice edge on that bit. Okay. what I mean? That's pretty good. Let's turn the whole thing round. So we're up to there, which is looking pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off the faceplate, which is ridiculously easy. So you get your mallet, shop made of course, and a carpenter's chisel. And just angle that behind the wood. Couple of little taps, and there we have it, off there. Clean that glue off pretty easily. Now obviously we've got a bit of space between the core and that wood there, see it? That's alright. We're done with the faceplate. On with the chuck. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently bring this in. Gently bring this in. I'm just going to take off some of that edge. So I'm just biting down on this. That's really fine. I'm going to take off some of this to get close to the ring core. I'm not going to go right up to the ring core because I don't think that'll be perfectly true. That'll do. It's actually is pretty true on this occasion, but I'll continue with the normal method. I could have gone closer and taken that metal off, but I'm not going to. So what have we got so far? I'm actually going to put it back in the chuck in a minute, but I'll show you why. So on one side it's nicely the metal flush with the wood, and on the other side not quite. Now I could leave it in there and turn that down to the metal and turn it and get it like that, but who's to say that was perfectly true? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put that ring resizer on, and I'm going to hold it using the edge which I know is true. Let's just get this off. and put it straight back on. Must be tired. Right, he's going to go in there. Now look, it's loose, alright? Deliberately, it's loose. Live centre. The live centre is going to true off that. Lock that in place. Put a bit of tension on. See these opening up? While you push that. That is nice and true. Tighten up the chuck. Good. Take that back out. So the good edge is going on there, and it won't go any further. It's because it's got those different sizes in. So I'm hard up against there, which is the true edge. Bring up the tailstock. Lock it in place. Tighten it up just a bit. Just a bit so that it grips that. And I tell you what, it grips it pretty strong. Lock your tailstock. Can you see that? Lock your tailstock in place. Alright? So that is locked. Alright? Not moving. That is pretty good. Now I'm going to try and true that off and get into the metal. Now I might have to use something even narrower than this because I'm right up against the live centre. So I'm going to use this, which again is HSS steel. But I don't think this one's got cobalt in. Change the tool rest. You gotta be careful here, because you got a chuck there with very sharp jaws spinning round, and it would take your hand clean off. Okay. Have a look. Not quite. Now obviously I don't want to plough straight in because I will hit the metal underneath and you might hear it knocking a couple of times. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get up to it and then push in that way and scrape the wood, scrape the metal, through it up. That looks pretty good. Right, I'll take that off and show you. Twang! There, can you see that? Don't know if you can. But that looks pretty good. On that side. And we are pretty much done. I'll put that on there because it's on here where we are going to do all the shaping. Bring that back up and put him in there. Right, so we're going to do a bit of shaping on this. Might just throw up that outside slightly with this one, and then we're going to use the other tool for the edge. Okay, take your time. Right, now what I try to do is I don't go right the way across because you might get some breakout. So what I try to do is I come in from each side, and we're getting pretty thin, which is good. And you want it obviously uniform on both sides. So I'm going to spin this up. I'm going to spin it up quite fast, and I'm just going to do very delicate touches. I'm try and get this slightly closer in. Make sure I've got clearance. That's fine. It's locked in. It's not going anywhere. Spin that up. Be very careful. And that's what we've got. And that's before any sanding, which we're going to do now, because I think we are done with tools. Right. Right, now before I go any further, I want to do some shaping on the inside. Alright, because I don't like the sharp edges on the inside metal. So I'm going to take off that, and we're going to lightly hold it back in there. Now don't worry about the getting jaw marks into there. We're going to do more sanding in a minute. So I'm just going to put it in. And we're going to do this twice. We're going to do once on this side, once on the other. So that's held in place. I'm going to get the sandpaper. Start with a 120, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to round it like that. Then I'm going to flip it around and do the same. Then we're going to get some polish. Now, didn't I say that gold colour was just a plating on top? Let's just take this out. You see? I'm going to swap it round. I'm going to do the other side. Exactly the same. Hold that in there. Back to 600. Sorry, back to 120. And I know you'll be thinking, well, careful, you're going to rip your finger off. It looks worse than it is. I'm not jamming my finger into the ring. Alright? Okay, now I did say I'm going to have some polish. And the polish of choice is what I use on my pens, on the CA brusher. With a towel. In there. it up, let it dry. Starting to look okay. Okay. Looks pretty good inside there, doesn't it? Right, let's put it back in this thing, and again put this in so that it's kind of slack. And put that back on there. It spins, it's hard up. Lock him in place, push him in, tighten that up. And we'll do a bit more sanding. So still on the 120. Okay, and we have that. And it looks pretty good. Now it's tempting to put some oil on that, because it would look fabulous. But I'm not going to do that, because we're going to put the CA glue on. So super thin CA glue, and get some shop towel. And I have no idea how many coats we're going to do. We're going to do enough so that it looks pretty good. Now, as much as you don't need it, I'm going to use a bit of accelerator, but you don't need it. Super thin dries pretty quick. We'll see how we'll go. So I've got some spray accelerator somewhere. Here it is. This stuff. Now I'm not going to spray it straight away because it bubbles over there. I'm going to let it spin for a bit. I've got some patience. So I'll just rub that on, one pass. It's smoking, very offensive. Bit of spray, and then I get a bit of fine sandpaper. Now I think this might be 800. And just like when I do my pens, I want this to turn white. And it did. There's some white on there. Good. More glue. And I don't know if you can see this very well, so I'm going to bring it in closer. There it is. There we go. Put it on there and kind of rub it on. I'm not pressing very hard when I put that glue on there. So white it's gone. Now what I keep doing, you see all them folds in the paper? I have two places, each corner gets a bit of glue. So I've just done that corner there, alright? Now that corner's going to get some. Just touch it. Notice my hands aren't anywhere near that. The amount of pressure that material can give is enough. And then what I do, when that's dried off, I just fold the paper to give me 2 new soft areas, and I just keep folding this. Okay, so can you see the paper? How it's all concertinaed up? That's because I started there, and then folded it and went to there, and folded it, went to there, folded it. Although, it's just what I do. Just work. Right, let's sand this off, final sanding. Okay, and surprise, surprise, we're going to polish it with that good friend Brasso. It's such a good job on the pen, and he does equally great job on this. Trust me, that's going to be pretty smooth, pretty shiny. So I'm going to splash out and do one little finish with microcrystalline. Don't need this. I like to on things that will go a little bit. And you can spend as long as you want. Don't overheat anything. And have a look at what we've got. Nice shitoins on that. Pull this off. Now what I like to do is to get part of the rag which has still got a bit of the polish on, just scoot round the inside, switch it over, scoot round the inside, And then get a clean bit of your rag. Just polish it off. Around the edges. Rub. Do or not, the tunic is a great polishing cloth. Now that, see the chatoins? That is lovely. And we've got quite a nice little ring there. There's no cracks and chips. Looks lovely, it's nice and smooth. And we could certainly polish that off a bit more. It's got a bit of grease off my hands. That looks really nice. So there you go. Metal core ring. 12 of them for £1.70. A little ring stretcher which I used as like a mandrel. I think it was no more than £5 maybe. Obviously you need a chuck. A drill chuck to go in the tail, and forstner bit, and I think that it's really nice. So thank you very much for watching, and you know, if you haven't had a chance, check out A Turn for the Good. It'll be really feel lovely if we can use all this and turn a piece. Somebody likes it enough to buy it, and we send that money off to a good charity. Okay, feel free, comments, love to hear you. You take care. Thank you very much. There you go. That's all we'll turn tonight. It's hard to get across really how smooth that feels. That's the chatoins is lovely. It's obviously the one that I wear. Got a handful more here. These are ones I've done for a friend. There's a couple of them which are pretty much identical. Here's another one. And another one of those. With laminates on. They all feel really great. £1.70 for 12. Can't go wrong. Thanks everyone.
Daughter, which one is the virgin? I don't like if our minds are tossing in the ocean there.